Laws are officially in place in Kentucky, which could affect technology in schools and the way teachers and students communicate. Meanwhile, several new laws are set to go into effect tomorrow in Indiana, including two which could impact both public safety and public health. Isaac Calvert met with both state leaders and with those advocating for the new laws to learn more.
I think it's helpful for both parties, to be quite honest with you.
In Kentucky, Senate Bill 181 went into effect on Friday. It requires school boards to track online communication between both students and staff. This means communication is no longer allowed through apps like Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. Kentucky officials are hopeful this new law will help protect students and to develop more positive relationships with their teachers.
It's really just to make sure that communication, that the parents know about the communication between adults and their child at school, whether it's at sports or extracurricular activities or even in the classroom.
Another law that went into effect was House Bill 208, which requires Kentucky school boards to create policies banning the use of cell phones in the classroom. It's something that Senator Robbie Mills says will promote better learning and better instruction.
An undistracted student is the best student to learn. We know that from a fact. And also teachers that aren't having to do discipline all day about putting your phone up, put your phone up, and continually saying that and causing them to have to lose their place while they're teaching will be a positive, I think, as well.
Meanwhile, in Indiana, many laws are set to go into effect on Tuesday. One of those is House Bill 1137, which allows courts to expunge red flag law records if a person is later found not to be a danger to themselves or others. Representative Wendy McNamara released a statement about the new law, saying it upholds a constitutional right, saying, quote, "The Second Amendment is among our most cherished freedoms, and this change will ensure citizens' rights are upheld without diminishing public safety." And for the first time in nearly 2 decades, a new tax on cigarettes is coming to the Hoosier State. Starting July 1st, a pack of cigarettes will now be taxed by an extra $2. Officials with the American Cancer Society say the goal of this new tax is to decrease smoking and cancer and to increase state revenue.
We want healthier Hoosiers in our state, and we want less cancer cases across our state. I mean, we see people who have this extra money now who have quit smoking cigarettes, invest their money in other ways, make additional purchases. And overall, across the country, we haven't seen businesses shutter their doors because of tax increases.
She says this increase is expected to help an estimated 32,000 adults stop smoking and prevent 7,000 teens from making it a habit. More on these laws can be found on our website, 14news.com.